Welcome to the High-End Munich 2024. Next to me, I don't think he needs an introduction, Mr. Andrew Jones. We're at the stand of MoFi, but I think for the people that don't really know all your history, it would be nice in broad lines what you did, where you started and end up at MoFi, of course. So, where did it all start?
Starting point, once I got interested in hi-fi and speakers, I designed all my study towards physics to begin with. Undergrad and then 6 years of postgrad research. And then I got invited to join KEF. And KEF was the speaker university. And I had so many mentors. You know, university, you learn the background to your subjects, you learn how to learn. But you don't come out of university going, I know how to design speakers.
No, you know the theory, but not the practice.
Right. So KEF was my speaker university. And I got introduced to so many luminaries in the field that I had access to learn about everything. And I was there 11 years. But then I got brought over to the States by Floyd Toole, joined Infinity.
Oh, you did Infinity as well?
Infinity, the Harman Group. But then I got recruited by Pioneer to do design work for the American branch, but working with all the engineers in Tokyo, which was fantastic because so knowledgeable and such access to facilities. So while I was there, we started off the TAD home audio division.
Exactly, because that was the time when TAD already existed, I think.
TAD existed since the late 70s and doing concentric drivers. Doing beryllium drivers.
Concentric came later?
Concentric came later. When we started TAD, then it seemed, the home audio division, it seemed obvious we should use beryllium, but how? Well, since I'd got such a vested interest in doing concentric drivers, I said, beryllium concentric, no one's done it. Not even since then. We launched that in 2003, and it's still the only pure beryllium concentric driver in existence. And still sounding really good.
I don't own them, but I do own TADs.
Right.
They're lovely.
So I was at Pioneer for 17 years in total, and then left to form ELAC Americas. And so I've gone from within Pioneer from $89 a pair up to $80,000 a pair, 1,000 to 1 ratio. Both interesting because they're different kinds of challenges. There's still a challenge. One is how little you can spend. The other is how much can I spend.
I always wondered, and we were talking about it yesterday actually. We'll talk about it later, but what is harder?
I think equally hard, just different directions. What I feed on is the challenge. Yeah. And as long as I've got in my mind, that could be interesting, what would I do to solve that? Then I'm happy and off and I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think with how low can you go can be really hard because you have to make the right choices to leave something away that's not impacting sound quality in a nasty way. On the other hand, if you make a speaker pair that's like 90 or 100 grand a pair, the expectations of someone buying that are sky high.
But even though we talk about cost no object, right? You've still got, whatever price point you aim at, you've still got competition at that price point. So it's still about value for money, right?
Even with 500 grand?
Value, but it's value for money. And so you're always fighting to do better than anyone else. And it's still your personality comes through in whatever you design.
But at the High-End Munich this year, there are crazy expensive speakers. Value for money is always there. I believe that. But isn't there a point that it's not better, but just different?
I think sometimes, and I get into trouble here. So, but not just from the point of view that what I mentioned just a moment ago about personality. What does the designer think is better, right, compared to what anyone else would think? And that personality comes through in the final product. It's very difficult maybe to be substantially better when you're at a really elevated level, although it can certainly be easier to be different. You've got more scope to be different in one respect. So, yes, you go round. I think at a show, though, especially when you're talking about really high end, it's difficult to set up the conditions that can fully show off what's...
At a show, it's impossible.
Right. And I attempt to do as much as I can to set up the conditions to say, this is what you can expect. I actually I hope that even at a show, I can show off the capabilities of the speakers in a way that when you get home, say you, at a show, oh, I'm going to buy those speakers, you buy them, you take them home. If you can't even get what I got at a show, then you know it's not the speakers. It's not my fault. It's your fault. You haven't learnt how to set up a system, and that setting up of a system can be so more important than just the individual components you've chosen in that system. And I'm just giving you a target. This is possible, and then you've got something to aim for.
Must be really frustrating for some people, I think. But now we're at MoFi. You just mentioned in the hallway that you designed 3 loudspeakers in 3 years. That's a pretty good track record, I think. What can you tell about those? What's Andrew Jones in those loudspeakers?
Well, the first obvious thing would be concentric drivers.
Yeah, I figured that out.
As a friend of mine calls me Captain Concentro.
Yeah, it's absolutely true.
So the idea... I've always believed, ever since the days of KEF, of doing concentric drivers. Every time I'm designing a non-concentric driver, throughout the design process, I'm going, I wish this was a concentric. But, yes, cost. So with this, we're aiming at not ultra-affordable, a few $100s, but a few thousand. And a broad design goal of big and boxy like the old days. Go back to vintage. It's popular right now.
Yeah, but I think the design is a little bit different.
We combined a bit of both. That sculpted baffle says new. But as soon as we added that picture frame, it goes, that's the 70s.
Yeah, but it's not like the old boxy box.
Not a full recreation, because we weren't making speakers in the 70s. If it's JBL doing a reissue or KLH, then they've got something they can copy that's an iconic speaker from those days. We don't. So we're kind of giving a tip towards that. Whilst I was going to say Braille bringing the technology up to date, except I've still got paper cone and a soft dome tweeter, but all my magnet assemblies and the way I approach the design are up to date. And so I had the scope to sit and think about what would I do. And that's what I came up with. And as soon as I had the idea, okay, 10-inch driver, I could make a 2-way concentric that wouldn't be too compromised by how much the cone moves, because a 10-inch driver doesn't move nearly as much as a 5-inch. And so, okay, I can put my name behind that. So that's why I started developing. Once I'd got the first prototype and able to listen to it, I think, yeah, there's something here. Yeah. So that source point 10, and then I get so many people. It was supposed to be big and boxy and a 10-inch driver, right? So people would walk in and go, ooh, that's a bit bigger than I thought it would be. It's 10-inch.
Yes, it's 10-inch. It's big.
So, okay, we'll do an 8-inch. And as long as I don't try and make it go down as low as the 10-inch, then again, it won't move too much. So that became the 8. And then, okay, that's 2 down. What's the next one? And, well, a tower speaker, floor stander. And so in order for it not to be too huge, well, let's do it based on the 8-inch. And so source point 8, 8, 8, because it's an 8-inch concentric, 8-inch woofer, 8-inch woofer. Yeah.
Nice. So we're going to review one pretty soon. I think it's the Source Point 8. I'm sorry. Maybe I should ask for the 10 then, if it's a lot better. But thank you for your history and insight in the new MoFi loudspeakers. We're going to check them out, of course, and the review will be online soon. But thank you.